All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody out to the planning meeting on February 20th. The first item on the agenda is public comment concerning any issue that's not on the agenda. Is there any public comment tonight for the commissioners? Everybody here for an agenda item?
No, like church, huh?
It's like that. Okay, item number 2 is Joe Witt. Building permit for an accessory structure. Is he coming tonight or?
I didn't hear from him, so.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna go with no for the.
Okay,
But I didn't hear from him, so he may be showing up.
okay. You want us to switch that and come back to it?
Do we wanna come back later in case he shows up?
No, let's do it.
I didn't hear, I
Okay,
mean, I didn't hear pro work on.
okay.
It's a fairly straightforward outbuilding, but not agricultural. Here are the plans.
Are you hired by Mr. Witt?
No.
Oh, just
Hired by the town. Representing the, so as your town engineer, I reviewed the plans.
Okay, I was just
Okay, so you got that. You got that.
Question,
Okay,
I should.
Eric,
I think that's what,
question.
yes.
the email that came out Monday afternoon or whenever that was about Joe Witz, was there supposed to be attachments or?
There should have been an attachment with that,
Yeah.
with the plans.
All we saw was the email on me and Jay, so.
So did everybody else get the attachment?
I did.
What are they?
It all went on the same, it was the same email.
Didn't say
At the
yet.
bottom.
So, I don't know how it works out there in that, but apparently it skips on that end.
wasn't that attachment just structural specs?
It should have been structural specs
Had this-
and
had this
that.
And it should have had the plans,
It should have had everything but the review letter, right?
I believe so.
Should have had everything but the review letter.
And I think they passed me a copy of the review letter out
No,
Yes.
none of them came.
before I leave out something. Trying to think that I never got this right. No, they didn't mean.
Some of them, the pages aren't, there's not much on them. I think the third one is the one you want to look at, because that's got all those. So done up in the upper left-hand corner. Oh, yeah. My question was, is one of my questions, when I looked through it, it just, our code says 20 feet from the main building, and that looked like that was away from the main building, correct?
Yes, and so our comments are, we would like to add a couple notes to the site, a couple dimensions to the site plan.
Okay,
It looks like it looks like it'll be fine from scaling it out, but we'd like, dimensions shown to clarify those issues,
Okay.
20 feet being one of them. That being the main one, and there was a couple others we wanted added. But I didn't see any major problems, it doesn't look like there's an issue, just, we need to show the number.
okay.
There's some indications on the roof drain that we're gonna ask for clarification and revision on.
Okay.
Tempered windows, and then the larger item, I guess a couple other minor things. Fire access will need to be 20 feet, so that's one of the dimensions we need to add. And then the health department comments we heard back today, they need to understand a little more. They want another sheet or more detail on the site plan about how he's planning on connecting the bathrooms to the septic system. And so that'll have to be resolved. And then the big one is that it's bigger than 1,500 square feet, which makes it a conditional use.
What, yeah, that was another one of my questions. How big was it? I kind of looked at it, and I thought
About
it was
2,500
20
square
something,
feet. Yeah,
2,000 something.
2490, basically 2,500 square feet. So because of the size, we can approve the building permit, but we also have to go through a
So you
conditional
got the
use
attachment.
process, which involves a public notice, and that's more than we can do tonight.
That's a majority, you two are out, sorry.
It's a good question for Eric, is on the building permit for Joe Witt with the conditional use, do we approve the building permit and then the conditional use next month? Or do we need to hold off on the building permit until the conditional use is
I
approved?
think we have to hold the conditional use and see if there's any, if we get any response back, then we can issue the permit. If there's no response, if there's a response, then we'll have to address his responses. This is the way the code's got clearance up to the bathrooms.
So tonight, we're talking about, we can't have the conditional use hearing because we didn't notice it. So it would be, are there any other issues other than the ones I've noted?
The only question I had, I gandered through all of our code, and I couldn't see anything about being in front of the home structure. Is there a code on that?
There is, the way we've defined the front lot, this would be in the side, this would be on the side.
This would be
And so
considered.
it conforms to the code in that regard.
Because of the setback, it's back 50 feet from the road,
Yeah.
so it's actually in the side yard.
Even though it's in front of the
50 feet
house.
From the edge of the road?
It's actually to the side of the house. It's not in the front.
Not, so this
I'd have to
picture
look
is
at
not
the
to
site.
scale.
It's quite a ways off the road, but I'd have to look at the site plan again. But if you look at the triangle, the way we define front yard, it qualifies as being in the side yard.
Perfect. Those are my only two questions. It's quite an elaborate plan.
So what we need to do is set it for a, go ahead and I guess we're looking for a motion to conditional use.
I'll make a
Mail the
motion.
letters out. So that'll be everybody within a 500-foot radius,
I'll make that motion for conditional use.
okay?
How much information will be in the letter?
All I will say is there's a conditional use within your area. If you have questions, contact us.
It won't be for a public meeting or anything like that?
It will be, if we get something back, that's what triggers the hearing, is if you get feedback back off of those. If you don't get feedback, then we're good to just go ahead and issue the permit on the conditional use. But that gives everybody the opportunity to know that something's going on that's maybe a little bit more than what is normal in their neighborhood, and if they're concerned, then they need to get a hold of us.
So how was that stated, Jim?
A motion for conditional use for a meeting on our next agenda,
Yeah, it'll be continued.
continued till our next agenda.
So you're moving for a conditional use?
Yeah, continual use, continual use continued to our next meeting in March. Is that your motion?
Yeah, that's it,
Conditional use continued to the next meeting. That's what we're
for
doing?
Mr. Witt, yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Now, any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion?
So who gives out the letters? You do?
Yeah, what we do is we'll send out the letters, because if we can't rely, we could rely on homeowners to do that, but we don't.
Understood.
So we do that so that we know they went out,
Okay.
because undoubtedly somebody will say they didn't receive one. We go off the tax roll, whatever the property's name is, that's where it goes.
500 feet from that residence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if there's a parcel within 500 feet, they'll get a notice.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Just one item, I don't think there's a lot of notices that go out here because the residences, they're scattered quite a bit through that area.
Okay.
I don't think there'd be more than 6 or 7, would there?
Probably about that, yeah, probably 10, so. Because these aren't on 3,000, so you account the ones across the road.
I won't get those ones.
Did they find anything? Is everything on there?
It's almost a big hole.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Daniel's Road.
Yeah.
So,
Tracy just wanted.
Wasatch Mobile Home Park.
there.
It's one of these narrow skinny ones?
Yeah.
It's
It's
this
that
one?
1, 2.
Oh, it says Joe
Yep.
Whitmer.
It's that way.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Hey, Eric.
6, 7,
Yes.
What kind of building is he doing?
He wants to do a little barn out to the side, and he wants to put a basketball court inside. So it looks agricultural, but he actually has sunken it in the ground, so it's not tall. So it's sunk down about 6 feet in the ground, it looked like. And then it'll just look like his other barns he has on the property. And it'll be a half-court basketball arena is what the plan shows.
But it's 2,000 square feet, so it's larger than, that's why it's conditional.
He can still run, he doesn't want a small court.
There's a code that if your accessory structure is greater than 1,500 square feet, we go through this other process where we notify all the neighbors, so that's what we're
And
going
it looked
through
like there's
tonight.
about 9 or 10.
Yeah, that's what I figure, about 10. doesn't affect as many as it would if we got higher density, but. Okay, any more discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote, all in favor? Right. Any opposed? Like, we're good? Okay. Where did I throw my agenda? Did you take my agenda, Ryan?
You can have mine, I have two. Eric?
There's one.
Hold on.
He wants his.
Did you get my agenda?
His
I
agenda.
think I did.
Thank you.
It's got all the notes.
You can have it, but you gotta stand up here.
I'm sorry.
Trying to figure out what to do.
Okay, item number 3, Susan Kohler. So this is a continuation on the Webb Trust property.
Now I don't feel like I'm born in 17.
Hello, everybody. I think y'all know my name by now.
Keep coming.
So I wasn't here last month, but what I heard is we were to get some information for you guys as far as when the property was separated and the years it was separated and so forth and so on. And Jelaine has maps and information for all of you to follow through.
We had our title searcher pull up when the parcels were divided off from the Webb property. So what we put together for you is, the first page is just kind of an overview of the plat. I've just highlighted where the Webb 3 parcels are. And then to the east were the parcels that we didn't know exactly when they were divided off and created, which was what was asked at the last meeting. We also didn't know the exact date of when the access was created to access these 3 parcels. And that's the little section located just next to the Casper property that you can see on there, just right under the 18. It's, oh, and so we found, actually, if you go to page 4, it's the actual deed, it's the right-of-way and easement. That is the actual deed, and we found out that it was actually created with the owner
Mom and Dad
before
bought it.
the Webbs purchased it, so in 1966. That was actually created between the Jacobsons and Grant Casper. And so the second page just shows the explanation of when all of those parcels were divided out. And then what we've done is on page 5, it just shows up close the Raymond property moving from north to south, the Raymond property, the Carlisle property, the Jacobson property, and the title searcher just showed us when those parcels were created. So the access on the west side of the Casper parcel was created in 1966, like we mentioned. And then starting in the easterly direction, the Raymond parcel was created in 1919. And then they did carve out a little parcel there that is now labeled, the owner is Wild. That was then pulled out, carved out in 1970. And then the Carlisle parcel was created in 1944. And then moving down from the Carlisle, the Jacobson property was created in 1906. And then in 1943, the county shows the legal as a north and south parcel. And the title searcher said that the counties just rewrote those legals. I don't really know the reason why they did it, but it wasn't broken down further. They just rewrote the legals to make them up to date, he said. So the parcels on that east side were broken away, basically like 1908, 1919, 1906, and then some other parcels were created in 1943. So I think our point to this was to see if the web parcel was grandfathered in. The first county code was put into place in 1965. We checked with the county, and I was actually surprised it wasn't before that, but it was 1965. So I think that you were inquiring about when these parcels were broken off to the east in relationship to is there any potential for this web property to be grandfathered in as it was with this access, and then to provide us with more knowledge of when those parcels were actually divided off from that big section.
Okay, any questions?
Is that the information that
Is that what you guys
you were
want?
looking,
Yeah,
that you were looking for on from our last meeting?
so we're seeing some that were like off of Raymond's, but I don't know that those that were done later, but I don't think that matters because the other parcel was split off and it was someone else that then subdivided. I don't know what everyone else here thinks about that, but I'm kind of thinking that, you know, we
That
have no
little
control
parcel
over
right
that.
there?
Like it was divided off to Raymond and then
You know,
Raymond cut out.
originally, what
Yeah.
it was my Aunt Lottie and Uncle Carl
Yeah.
had that property. Then Aunt Norma and Uncle Lloyd bought that, and Aunt Lottie built a little house right there in that little parcel.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's.
was carved out in
the way it was carved
1970.
out.
Right,
Why
and
it's
so
carved
I'm
out
just
to begin
saying that I
with.
don't think that date matters. It
Yeah.
would be what's been split off the main
From the web,
piece.
from that parcel.
Okay. Any more questions, the applicant? Thank you. Okay, planning commission members. Still browsing it? Do that for a minute. We done with that?
The objective here is still trying to get this 16-foot wide area, that's 75 foot long roughly.
What's
The
16
objective
foot?
is to get entry from 3,000 south.
What's 16 foot you're talking about?
In this description on page 4?
It's 32 feet. The driveway,
Yes.
that's 32 feet wide.
Oh, I'm reading rods, right?
Right.
Okay.
They're wrong, I think it's 16 feet.
Oh, 75 rods.
It does say
Oh.
16 feet, but
Oh, 16
Does
rods.
it?
yeah, in the description. But I know that the property description now talks about 32 feet, so maybe this was 16 feet of the 32 feet. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's kind of confusing. But the objective is still to gain that area, that description, as a right-of-way into this property. We haven't got any right-of-ways that's coming in from the east.
No, but the idea is it a lot of record or not?
That's
then-
one of the questions.
That's one of them. First, is it a lot of record, and second, is it buildable? We do know from the description that this is 32 feet wide. I'm not sure whether they got another 16 from Grant or what happened on that one.
What are you saying?
Saying, if you look at the property description, this is 32 feet wide on the deed.
Yeah, I wonder if that's
So-
just part of the legal
So
description.
did Grant give them 16 feet of that and they already had 16, or,
I see,
I don't know.
I see.
Or it's just the legal description saying that it's 16 feet back to the place of the beginning measurement.
Well, that could be, but usually it's doing a square. But
Well,
yeah,
that one says 16 rods. Is that where you're looking?
No, it's a couple of,
Oh, 16
Maybe
feet.
past there.
Oh, to the place of beginning. Okay.
yeah, so it says it goes south 16 rods, east 16 feet, north 16 rods, west 16 feet, so that's a rectangle it's describing. But I do know the legal description said 32, so maybe it was just adding to what they already had.
Any other questions on it? Okay. So our current code would require 100 feet of frontage. That's what our current code has. In 1965, well, in 1972, it's 330 feet.
That's county.
This is the county density. In 1976, it was 320 feet. In 1979, 320 feet. So when did we say you bought it? When was it?
1976.
76? So I go from 92 at 320 to 1997, and well, it didn't change, still 320 feet. And then it drops to 200 in 81. And then it moves back up
Yeah,
when Title 16 in 2000 came into play.
so I'm wondering what it was in 1970 when, you know, a lot of Vanny's lot was taken out, because that's not very wide.
Yeah, I don't know.
Plus, if it's really true, you know, correct, that zoning didn't start until 1963.
65.
65.
65, okay, then, I don't know.
When did it go to 100 feet, Eric? That was in
It went to 200 feet.
200 in 1981, you said.
Uh-huh.
And then we changed it to 100 feet later on, didn't we?
Well, in 2000, they adopted this code. This is Title 16. So it was in 99 to 2000. And so that's when they changed all of the grazing, all the grazing land went to preservation. When the three-member commission did that. I've lived here too long, I think.
Yeah. No, it's good.
I don't even know that.
And in 206, this went to 100 for the town of Daniel, is that correct?
No, it didn't. It was after, it was 2008, I believe, it went to 100 feet. So in 2000, it was back up to 320 feet in the RA5 zone. So that's when they carved those off. Went from the grazing to everything you see on the back, preservation 160, everything back by the creek. So it was 320 feet at 160705 is the lot width on the county code. And then, of course, we took this county code, and we changed it to Title 8, and that's what the town adopted. And so that's when those changes were made in 2007.
So if I understand this correctly, based on the frontage, it was 320 feet in 1976. This lot never really qualified as a buildable lot. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Well, I don't know what it was.
Based on access to the lot.
It never fit the county
Never
code.
fit the county code.
Yeah, but Whether,
Since the county's had a
Since the
code.
Since the county's had a
Right.
code
right,
in 1965.
yeah. Which is why we still have two issues, because even now, so I'm gonna give you these codes that we have.
Okay, so I have a question. So if that's true, why would the county planning office have written me a letter that day quoting that if it were up to them, they would write it up as a lot of record right there? All he asked us to do was to take those 3 parcels, go to the courthouse, put them into one parcel, and it was done. So there's my question.
It's a good question, but the county planner has no jurisdiction.
And he said
And he
that.
actually probably ought to be reprimanded for making that statement, in my opinion.
Well, you'll have to take that up with him.
Oh, I know, it's not your problem, but I'm just saying, I think he was way out of bounds.
So why do you guys recommend that people go to the county and talk to them if you're not?
They did. I went on my own.
That's what you said, that you go to the county to find a lot of records.
Well, the county keeps all of the property records. so you
Yeah,
do
they
to
have all
go
the
to
records
county.
prior to 2006 when we became a town. The county has the records for that.
Okay,
So if anybody was sitting on a water record certificate, it would be the county if they had a copy.
but like you said, they take a lot of records, nobody ever has a lot of records, right?
Well, that's not true, because we've had them produced here we've had a lot of records produced here.
There's just not really consistency, and then it's not a required to be recorded document
Okay.
either. So it's like
It's a
something,
little bit of a wild west.
yeah, sometimes they're there and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, it really.
What are the 2 issues you were gonna?
Well, the other issue is if it is a lot, then we can't issue a building permit unless it has the frontage. So you got this, it's still the same issue, it comes right back around on the permit end also.
But see, that's another question I just don't get, and maybe I'm stupid. But if you've got a driveway that goes back there, and all of a sudden it opens up to that great big field, there's over 100-foot frontage when you get back in that driveway.
And so the code just says it has to abut a publicly maintained road for 100 feet.
But it wouldn't be a public, it wouldn't be a public,
Well,
it'd
that's
be a
what-
driveway though,
that's
right,
what we're-
Eric?
Right, that's what we're talking about. You
Okay.
don't have the 100 foot on that driveway. So if it was 50 feet wide, that's why it gets so confusing, because we're talking about 50 foot. You could actually build the road to the standard, that's the minimum road standard, 50 feet. You could have went in 100 feet past Grants. Suddenly your lot now abuts a road built to the town of Daniel standards, 100 feet. And so if you had 50 feet, then we could just go that route. And so you just build a road to the standards of Daniel, you got your 100 foot of frontage on your lot. It's no longer an issue.
From your new road that you put in on your 50 feet.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
I don't get it. If you have a
What she's-
50-foot road,
What she's saying, if that was 50 feet instead of 32 feet, would be fine.
Yes.
You could build a
Well, yeah,
road back
that-
to
Well,
but how does that?
There's a
give you
way
100
around it
foot
with that, yeah.
because you're building a road back to the big nice pasture back there. You're building a road.
You're creating your 100-foot frontage out of your own property.
On your own road.
Well, why can't we create a
You don't
100-foot
have 50
frontage off
feet.
our 32-foot
Don't have 50
driveway?
feet, you can't build a road on 32 feet. A road has to have 50 feet to be
But
a
it can't be a
road.
driveway?
And doesn't that have to be deeded to the town if you build a road like that?
It will definitely have a right of way to the town, yes. Because what happens is we end up running utilities in there to service those lots, and then we have to be able to get in and work on those utilities.
Because a
Do
driveway.
you
is
But-
not a
understand
but
road.
what I'm saying is
that,
for it-
Susan? What-
for it to be
what we were
considered
saying?
a
guess.
Daniel
Could draw
official
a picture,
road,
maybe.
I just,
it would have to be deeded to
honestly,
Daniel,
I guess
wouldn't
I'm just
No,
a good
No.
old country girl.
It
and
has
I
to have
just
a right of
don't
way.
Just
get
as long as it meets the requirement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Why
it's-
in the hell you
No,
can't have
I'm
a
gonna go back
driveway
to
that
that
goes
one
back
we
and have
talked
one
about
house?
before. You know, you
It
gotta
just-
say you gotta have 50 feet for a road. Well, how come I told you that? Up there by the old church house, that road is not 50 feet, it's 26.
Yep, and Big Hollow's the same way.
Yep.
And we got a ton
So
of
how
them.
come you can let that be a road, let them people access to their homes right there?
Again, that one there, we've had people want to build on that road, guess what, they can't. They don't have access to a road that's built to the standard. So that is an issue up there. Wayne Townley, And who's the guy right behind him?
I don't know, but, okay, Eric, how about, Bishop Armstrong?
Bishop Armstrong's.
Yeah.
What about his
That's a
driveway?
no more than a 32-foot driveway.
50-foot right away down there.
I don't think it's 50 feet.
It is, the fence is not in. John Blotter has 25 feet in his field that belongs to Rob Armstrong to go back into that field.
So you don't have to move the fence?
No, it's a subdivision. They created the subdivision. They can draw that line. Rob actually owns that property. That is deeded to the back lot. And so there is 50 foot there. That one was the, is that the Young subdivision, I think, this is 54, up is the Young subdivision. So that one is 50 feet, going back to Rob's. On another
So when
note,
it all comes down to it, all this work that we were sent to do this month was for nothing. It has to be that driveway. That's the main objective, right?
that's what
Well, there
they're
were
held
two.
up on.
There were two. It was a deed of record, which it seems like that all became before the town, so that seems, without reading further, okay. But then the second issue was the access. So there was two issues. The access into the nice pasture, and was this using my terms right, deed for these lots, that there was pre-town,
Right,
built,
Right.
it's a
Those-
buildable lot. is
those
the-
parcels were
those
done.
parcels.
yeah.
And it seems like to me, that they were and are. But now we've got to figure out the access, if we agree on that. So kind of brainstorming with what
But-
options we even have.
Yeah, and the sad thing, the thing we're stuck with is, if you were to get that access and build the road down there, then it probably makes sense to subdivide it into 3 lots at that point.
Yeah, you
Instead of just having the one home
I
back
don't know
there.
why
which
you
would be
wouldn't
nice.
run it clear to the back.
Yeah, you would.
But I mean, it's not cheap to build the road either, so.
No, it's not.
I mean, that becomes a cost also.
So is it in the town's best interest to have some sort of variance from larger lots on frontage? Where you can only have one dwelling rather than 3, which I think is less preferable.
It's a great question for the town council.
Yeah, I mean, planning can't do it.
So we tried to do caretaker dwelling on the larger parcels, and that was rejected. So that's kind of the direction that the council's going. We thought the larger parcels, if they had a caretaker dwelling, we could see what was going on in Charleston, and we knew that that's exactly what would happen on this side if we were to adopt a caretaker dwelling ordinance. They didn't want to do that. So the public was very, very outspoken about that. They didn't want that. So the public hearings went the other way on that. We did not adopt that. So in 2007 or 8, right there is when we dropped it to 100 feet. So we're actually lower than it's ever been.
Exactly. But it still doesn't meet their needs.
Yeah, no, it doesn't help.
Doesn't help, but it's the best it's been,
And there was some pushback when we did that also,
I'm sure.
to the 100 feet. I mean, there was, but it passed, it got enough votes, got 3 votes, so.
Well, zoning did make a recommendation to town council to see this through, and the town council sent it back to us. We had to look at it again. So you've not only been turned upside down, but we're kind of going that direction too. We're just trying to get a solution for you guys and the town. And it's a rough spot to be in, either side.
So what was the frontage on that middle lot that it didn't have frontage, it looks like, or did it have frontage?
What?
On your map on the front of here? Before the lot boundary adjustment, this is the one I was talking about, Susan, when you asked, I was talking about this lot. Did it have frontage on 3000 South?
Yeah, did, at one time. It did.
The littlest one?
It was over 100 feet of frontage right there on that one piece.
What
Well,
one? Between Reggie and
before
that?
Reggie got it, yeah.
Oh, before Reggie got it,
Before
yeah.
Ed, before Dad sold that piece of ground, that's
Yeah.
just 100 feet of frontage there.
But after that,
No.
just before this lot line adjustment, had no frontage on 3,000 South. That was the piece I was talking about.
Yeah.
If that piece would have had frontage, that would, could have got in that way. So that's the one that he had emailed me about.
Yeah.
That was where I was indicating,
Yeah.
because I thought it did have frontage.
Well, there was 100-foot front on the other side too, you know, between, did you count the house's frontage and the driveway and right there that goes in the house, all that, does that count frontage?
Well, if you guys were counting these 3 parcels in this property, then that would have included that parcel. But I think that has now gone away based on the lot line adjustment that we've seen. Yeah. And it looked like the property was closed in at that point. So that's what I was talking about.
Well, yeah, but then they were towards the house.
So I didn't know if there was 100 foot between Reggie's and your dad's house or not.
Well, there was before Reggie. Dad gave Reggie, Dad and Mom gave Reggie a little bit more property, otherwise there wouldn't have.
Yeah. And that's where I was thinking that there would have been frontage going into that parcel. So that was the one I was talking about. Because it looks like you're pretty blocked in down here without an agreement with the neighbor this side or Grant. And I don't know, I know this one did a lot line agreement with your dad.
He's not the current one.
Not the current owner, there was one before that.
Changed him.
Because Mike Johnston was the one that was running that. He had actually came here and talked to us about it.
Yeah, in fact, I wish Dad would have never signed that without one of us kids being there. So then I think we wanted to give him.
Really? You think it's not where it's supposed to be? Isn't it?
But it's too late to do anything about it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's building back here now, isn't he? He's almost done, actually. I think they got their CO last week or something. Okay.
Well,
Any other questions? Okay, are we ready to vote?
No, I actually do have one more question, because I'm not sure. If they were able to trade, say, trade side property from Casper's to, say, property to the rear, would that cause other issues?
Not as long as Casper remains whole.
Right, so same lot area.
Right. Yeah, he can get bigger, but he can't get smaller.
Yeah, he has plenty of frontage too, so it wouldn't impact his frontage.
So that's how we've done that in the past, is as long as the lot that's non-conforming stays whole, so that if it was traded from the side to the rear, that'd
See,
be fine.
that parcel Grant's got there, ain't gonna do him any good, so there's only an acre there next to his house,
Yeah.
so we can't do nothing with it.
Eventually, you might be able to, but
Yeah,
not under the
Probably
current
not.
council.
Probably not Sweetville Grants like that.
Probably not. Probably not. Matter of fact, he's probably not even thinking about it.
How about
yeah.
anybody from the east? Is there any way to access it on that side?
I imagine that you probably checked, I'm sure.
Yeah, nobody's willing to make any kind of trades or, because they could back up a little more into your property, keeping their size the same and
Right,
giving
yeah.
you some frontage off their property.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah, but
But no.
Yeah, but no.
I have a question. Does the
Yes.
50 feet have to be congruent, or can it be 30 from here and?
No, 50 foot wide is the road standard. So that's the minimum standard they can have. We got bigger ones, but that's the minimum one we have. That's the smallest right of way that we have, road standard, so.
Maybe you could try your neighbor to the west, if Casper's aren't working with you, and you could,
We've tried,
you've tried both sides, east and west.
Try all over options.
Well, could we recommend to the council again to think about a variance for these larger lots?
Well, that's up to them if they want to.
Sure, could we as a planning commission recommend?
No, it's up to the applicant to
Period.
file for a variance. So,
Didn't we do that once?
we have not done that. Pam had to do that.
Did I?
Yes.
I did that.
Did you win?
I did.
Okay.
Were you talking about my garage?
Yeah, your corner
Okay, yes,
lot.
I did.
She wasn't able to build on a corner lot because she has two frontages. Our code says corner lots have two frontages. And she wanted to put a garage out on the side. So
Of
she
the
had-
house.
Right, so she had to go to Board of Adjustments and get a variance to build that garage.
So that would be our next step, is go to the Board of Adjustments?
If that's what you choose to do, yes. So what you're asking for is a variance on the frontage? But,
Yeah, big.
but,
Aren't
but
we?
there's, but be careful.
Yeah.
Wait, before you
Okay.
jump.
Yeah.
There's a criteria, 5 items that you have to qualify for to receive a variance. So they're just not an open board that says, yeah, you can do it.
Okay.
There's 5 reasons, and I'm not gonna quote them to you because I'm not sure of all 5. But there are 5 that they have to hit all of those
Can you
reasons.
text them to me when you know what they are?
Yes,
Okay.
I will send you the code number so you can look it up and read it, because
Okay.
it's in the code.
But
So-
can you put it in layman terms?
I cannot. Nice try, but I cannot. I've had to adapt. Unfortunately, they won't take my layman terms, they're gonna read the code.
And when do they meet?
They meet when they have an item.
Oh.
So we schedule the building and the meeting, and we run the public notice, and then whenever they have an item, they meet. I think we've only held, since 2007, I believe, 3.
And who's on the Board of Adjustments?
There's, I think it's a 5-member board. And so they come from all over the place.
But they're all from Daniels?
They
No?
are all from Daniel.
Yes? Okay.
They are all from Daniel. I know we did receive a little bit of flack because there's a husband and wife team on it. However, when that argument was brought up, they've never voted the same, so. I don't think it'll hold up.
You cannot be household.
I won't tell you who it is now. I said that.
Be in trouble.
Yeah, I will be in trouble. I'll be looking for 2 new members on the board.
So
Okay.
it's not you and Shelley?
No.
I
Well, we probably don't vote the
with
same
them
either,
so.
Okay.
Okay, so what we have here, we're looking for a motion on the application. The application states approval of a non-conforming residential home site. So that's what they're asking on their application for. So if you're ready, I'm ready. I'll entertain a motion if you're ready. If you have more questions, we'll try and find some answers.
We're really in a corner just to deny this. Our recommendation is to deny it. And then we could let these folks pursue,
Yeah, whatever avenues that they,
but that's where our hands are tied right there.
yeah, we're administrative board, so the legislative board is the one that can change the rules. That's half of my job, is knowing the difference.
It's a good job, not an easy one.
Not ready, still want to think about it?
I've got a question.
We're just putting the words together.
Okay.
When we met on this before and decided to send this on to the council, I think our recommendation was to find a way to do it. Is that correct? And the council said, no, we're not gonna do it, here, have it back.
Yeah, I think there were some items that they thought maybe we had missed, which there was a
Yeah,
few.
there was. And I think we've cleaned those items up with, the applicant's help.
Okay, so our motion, in order to send this on for so that the Board of Adjustment can deal with it, we need to deny it, correct?
Yeah, that will be the motion, and you'll either approve it or you'll deny the application. And that gives them the go-ahead to forward in their direction, which they want to do.
Okay.
But
then
based on
I-
these, oh, sorry, Jane.
No, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just gonna make a motion, so if you're speaking.
Oh, I was still asking a question. Based on these issues that we have discussed tonight, we legally can't approve it because there are things that are not according to the way the code is written. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we don't have any other choice but to say, well, according to,
But to send it on down the
Right.
chain.
we're not,
Up the chain.
okay, the thrust of what I'm asking this about is, it's not possible for us to send it back to the council again, saying, well, we recommended you try to find a way to do it last time, we'd like to repeat that and ask you to do it again. That's not an option for us, we can't do that.
You can, but the correct way would be to let these folks move on with their application, then make a recommendation to council to whatever this planning board wants to see happen, make that recommendation to change the code to make that work.
Is there any way to address how this situation is actually a non-workable problem in our code that we need to address?
Yeah, but it's not original. We have these all over.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not unique to this parcel.
And it's not this board's problem.
Right.
It's the residents'
No,
problem, and they have a town council, and they can go to their town council and say, we need to change our code because this is not working for us as residents of Daniel. But at this point, what we do is send it down the road. So I move that we deny this application for a request for a buildable lot on the Webb Trust properties due to a lack of frontage.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor? Four. Any opposed? 4. Motion passes 4-2. Did you get who voted, Carrie? You good? Okay.
Eric, for the record, I would just like to say, and I said this before, and I'm gonna repeat almost word for word if I can what I said before. I think it's nonsense that we can't find a way to do something with a 32-foot wide driveway, roadway, easement, whatever you wanna call it. I think it's very unfortunate and a hardship that's caused by what our code requires us to do.
That's why we're sending it to the Board of Adjustment, because they have the power to do something. And we
Okay.
don't.
Susan, you put away your pen. I found it, why they were thinking about it. It's 80208, and so that's the variance.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
80208. And so if you look that up, that'll have the 5 criteria, and you can see if you fit into that area. You gave me just enough time. Okay, so the application's denied. We will need a letter, Carrie, in writing that we can send out so that these folks have that to go to the Board of Adjustments,
So what type of letter?
saying the application was denied.
Denied?
Mhm. Okay, and put the reason in the motion. You just type the motion and it'll be perfect. Then they're able to look at that at the Board of Adjustment.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you all. That's been a tough one. That is a tough one.
Maybe we can make a change based on your hard work for other people that could benefit as well as you.
Okay, that will take us to item number 4, the Leafson Family Trust. You ready? Sure. Sure.
We'll let you go.
Thank you.
So this is for a new home up on Stormhaven. So it attaches the application and the plans. And I apologize, I printed out the wrong site plan. This would be the right site plan.
Oh, I think I saw that.
And this was emailed to you, and it was a lot bigger before I turned it sideways for you.
Trying to get that one either.
I didn't really understand the site plan, but,
Yeah.
because it's a funny lot.
It is a funny lot.
You could
It
maybe
does-
give, I don't know, I've got it on mine.
You can pass them.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
Where's the road here? Right, where's the road?
because I only see the house, it's like, where?
The road basically, so the stream follows back here. So the stream is back here and the road is up here. It's that lot right before our box culvert. This is the old single wide that was torn down a while back.
Whose was it? That's Susie Goodfellow's?
No, this is down by the
Oh, this
lower
is,
box culvert that we put in a few years back. It flooded in 2012.
So is this Sweatfields?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, now I know where it is.
So there are just some notes that been added.
Yeah, so, well, we added some notes and I believe that I believe they changed from 40 to 30 feet on the front setback. So the road is those two sides and the stream is those two sides.
So this is one that's in the floodplain.
Yes. This is a lot that's in the flood.
This is not the right one.
This is not the amended one?
So my apologies, this is the amendment one.
Who sat next to the right person? I didn't think
Here's another
So
copy
as
of it.
the
if you'd
streams
like.
are here,
That's that.
the streams
Streams
are
out
on
here.
here,
Here's the amended one.
the road's over here.
I have it.
Oh, he's got a
I
picture.
just got it.
Oh, awesome.
So I have my copy of the amended one.
Okay, yeah, I apologize. I printed out the one that, you know, the original one, and we had an amended one. We worked with the applicant. They've been really good to get us whatever, you know, the additional information we needed. So at this point, they're, you know, they've satisfied the conditions in our review letter.
Which was the plat.
Well, we had a number of issues on the original letter. One was to provide a site plan and then have certain things on the site plan.
Okay.
We've done that. I believe there were a few other corrections on the structural calcs. And then Tracy had some concerns at the health department. Those have all been resolved at this point.
So do we have a letter back from the health department? I don't believe I
I
have
don't
it.
know. Yes, we did get I talked to Tracy and he said he was fine and he was sending something over.
Okay.
So let me rephrase that. I have talked to Tracy and he said he's okay. The letter's supposed to be coming if we haven't already got it.
Okay. I have not seen it.
But if it hasn't been forwarded, I'm wondering if it hasn't.
Yeah, I don't have that.
But when I got done talking to him, his concern was the booster pump, the grinder pump that was lying across the street. Where was it going, how was it working? And when we were done talking about what it was and what was there before and what was going back, he was gonna send a letter over, so.
Okay.
So the
So
septic
if we don't have a
design,
letter, one is forthcoming.
so that's for the septic design and.
Yeah, so this one is on the community septic. It was a house from years ago that was on the community septic, and so the connection's existing.
Okay,
And so to not allow them to use the existing connections would be problematic for a number of reasons.
Is a lot of record always a lot of record?
No. So,
I mean, you've got a lot here that's below sewer. You've got a lot here that's flooded in high water.
So that
You've got a lot here that probably is gonna give people a lot of problems.
way to boost them up.
Feel better about this?
So if you look at your site plan, the elevation has been addressed. So they're raising the elevation of the house higher than the culvert. So that actually brings it outside the floodplain. So that has been addressed on that end. The sewer has been addressed with the grinding, right?
Pump is ground.
And I believe the last conversation that you were gonna replace the grinder pump, but then use the line that's already been installed, probably.
So those items that we had red flags, they've taken care of.
Well, it's not so much that I want to bring them all the bad news, it's that I'd like to see buyers aware.
Right.
You know, there's reasons for disclosures in the real estate field, and this should also be aware.
So the floodplain issues were one of my major concerns, and so they've got the foundation 1.7, sorry, I'm not looking at it.
2.5 above the top of the culvert, so that's actually 3 foot above flood.
Would you be able to put in your own septic tank system?
I don't know if the county will let you right there. I don't think they will.
I would be really surprised.
And why would we want you
The old system's failing, you why?
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think that would be one of the challenging lots up there. I spent some time with Tracy looking at that option if they were all to go to individual lots. And there are some places where that would work, and there are a number of lots where it's, I don't think you can get it permitted. Even with a modified, one of the more advanced systems. And I believe this is one of them that would be a challenge.
There's transparency.
But what you're saying is this application at this point meets all the requirements?
Yes.
So you solved the engineering question on the CMUs?
Yeah, the CMU question was addressed, the floodplain issues were addressed, the subject concerns, like, if I haven't sent it to Eric, I must be waiting on the letter from Tracy, it's in my email. But we addressed that verbally, and we'll have a letter in writing here shortly. So at this point, I feel we're, would make a recommendation that we move forward. I don't disagree that there's challenges with the lots, but I think I've been on the phone with these guys quite a bit. I think we've made them aware of the issues.
Okay, any other questions? We ready to entertain a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the Leafson Family Trust building permit on conditions that a letter is received from the health department.
Okay, for the motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
On the condition what?
That an approval letter is received from the health department.
Thank you, Gary. Sometimes I go too fast.
Yes, you do. Okay.
Noted. Okay, so do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? No discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay. Good to go. Now back to your question, Kim. It depends on if that law is within a subdivision or if that law is just in the town. If it's in the town, it has a year. If it's out of compliance for a year, it's no longer. The reason that we say non-conforming is the code speaks to that, is to get rid of those uses. So it can be continued as long as it is continued. But if it goes away, that's when that use will discontinue and it will revert. But if it's within a subdivision, it has different rules. So you remember the High Plumber subdivision, those lots were not, but it was just in a subdivision. So there's separate criteria for those. Awesome. We're doing good.
Cool, good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to item number 5. Hear me there.
Okay, so these are we just had some questions just so that we're kind of going down the right path. So this isn't, we're not applying for anything, we just thought, I'll take 5 minutes of your time just to make sure we're looking at this the right way. The piece of property that we have now